Okay, and now it's time to have a conversation with our mayoral candidates, Mayor Ken Rankle and City Councilman Virgil Borusky. Let's welcome them to the stage. Do you have the microphone up there, either of you? Yes. You both have them. Awesome. No sharing this time. What we're going to do here is we'll give them each, I believe, 3 minutes to introduce themselves. And then with each question, they'll have the opportunity to answer for 2 minutes. And I think we can probably squeeze in 6 to 8 questions with that format. And again, if we don't get through questions that you wanted to hear, I think you should take it to them directly, and I'm sure they'll be happy to answer on their behalf. So let's get started with the introductions, and we'll start with City Councilman Virgil Borusky.
Good evening. As you know, my name is Virgil Borusky. I am a lifelong resident, married to my wife, Kathy, in 1969. I have 2 daughters, Katie and Sarah, who was also raised in Dayton. As many of you know, I own Borusky Brothers Collision Center here in Dayton with my brother, Vic. I've served on council for 14 years and served on the Finance Committee. I'm currently the chairman of the Fire Board. Having lived here my entire life, I am very concerned to the city and its people. My top priority as your mayor are to build a solid foundation to ensure growth of the entire city and the future generations. I want to raise values of property and not raise taxes. I am invested in the growth and welfare of Dayton. I believe my 15 years running a solid business, successful business in Dayton, and along with my 14 years of service to the city council, makes me the right choice to act as your mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Borusky. Mayor Ken Rankle.
Is here whenever the city wants anything. I appreciate it, you guys. I've been the mayor for 12 years. I've lived in Dayton right now at this time for a little bit over 20 years. As you know, I am married to my wife, Susan. We just had, in the past 13 months, 4 fantastic grandchildren. Quite frankly, if I knew grandchildren were so great, I would have had them first before we had the other kids. I've been really fortunate to have 3 children. They're all grown. My daughter lives in Dayton. I'm a self-employed contractor. I love Dayton. There's just no doubt about it. I'm very passionate about Dayton. I believe as mayor that a mayor needs to be involved. A mayor needs to get out. He needs to walk the streets. He needs to pick up trash. Public Works guy needs a hand somewhere. He needs to jump in and be able to do that. I've gone out, I cut trees down, I plow snow. I'm a hands-on guy, and I do not walk away from any type of a challenge, or like I said, I do believe in getting your hands dirty and being involved. We've been very fortunate in the past 12 years. For the city, I feel has grown tremendously. I feel our streets are cleaner. I believe our police department is better. They just got state accreditation. I believe that the merger of both Bellevue and Dayton Fire Department has worked out fantastically and saved us money. I believe that we need other equipment, as Chief Autry has said. We just have to find ways to fund it. One way that I think that we can fund for new equipment is by using our surplus. I'm very passionate about being able to have been in control and have encouraged other ones to build a surplus. When I took office in 2003, our balance was roughly $326,000. Luckily, as of today, our checking account balance is $1.6 million. I don't feel like we should use our surplus to offset our budget. I feel like we should use our surplus to buy police cars if needed. I feel like we should use it to buy public works equipment when needed. I feel like it is used to purchase needed fire equipment when needed. I also feel as though when you have a surplus, that gives you the opportunity to have public art. That gives you the opportunity to invest in a pier possibly on the riverfront. A surplus gives you the possibility to do things that you can't always do. Example, if you want to get a grant, most of the time a grant is matching. If you have a surplus, you can use those funds to match that grant, which would entitle us to get projects for like maybe half off or 50%. That's what a surplus is for. I'm very proud of some of the things that we have done in the past years. One of the major things I feel like we've done, as both mayor and council, is the River Point community. That was a $35 million development that's worked great.
Thank you, Mayor Rankle.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll alternate who starts. Each question will start with, we're all right. We'll start the first question with Mayor Rankle. Each candidate, again, will have 2 minutes. Mayor, as more businesses seek to locate in the urban center of northern Kentucky, why should voters elect you to be the face of the city for these businesses?
I've been very fortunate in networking outside of the community. I've tried very hard to build a new reputation for Dayton, and I'm very proud of Dayton. I feel as though if you have somebody that is confident, willing to put the time in to meet with prospective business owners and welcome into your community, they feel as though they are welcome and they do come in. And the one thing that I've always done with new businesses when they come in is I say, I want you to make money. The more money that you make as a businessman, the more that it benefits the city. You grow, we grow. And I think that's a very important attitude to have when you're interviewing for prospective new businesses.
Okay. Councilman Boruski, the question was, as more businesses seek to locate in the urban center of northern Kentucky, why should voters elect you to be the face of the city for those businesses?
I think with my business background, excuse me, with my business background, I can relate to business people in the community that would want to relocate into our community. And, you know, because I have that background, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, thank you. We'll start with Councilman Boruski for this question. Unless you want to get a sip of water, you go right ahead. If you were to put a marketing campaign together for the city of Dayton designed to attract new businesses, new residents, young professionals, and growing families, what would you highlight?
I think we would highlight the new development down on the river, and also I think we need to River Point, Grant Park, and then the historical center of the city is what I would highlight.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Rankle.
I think I would start off by saying that we have a very friendly community, we have a very safe community, and we have a very clean community. I feel as though if you have safe streets and clean streets, people are going to come. I would stress to them that we have a school system that, yeah, we had some problems with it, but it's growing. It's getting better, grades are improving, and this is a great place to raise a family.
Thank you. Okay, this question will start with Mayor Rankle. The city is facing some financial difficulties. So what is your plan to cut costs and increase revenues in the immediate future?
I really feel as though we have cut just about everything we possibly can cut. We have tightened up every department that we can. We've had great help from all of our department heads to cut that. If anything else, I think we would start hurting services if we cut much more. What we need to do is get our house values up. Once we get our house values up, that will enable us, yes, to bring our interest rate down, but then that would also enable us to bring more money into our community. To be honest, I don't see how we can cut any manpower anywhere or any services anywhere.
Thank you. Councilman.
One time I do agree with him. There's no way that you can cut services any more than we already cut them. I think that we're not hurt financially that everybody wants to say we are. I mean, in his opening statement, he says we got $1.6 million in surplus. So the one thing you don't want to do is raise taxes on property. You don't want to do that. One, we're paying 4.95 right now per thousand, where Bellevue was at 2.90. So we're a lot higher than Bellevue to start with. And if you've got a new development going on down on the riverfront, you sure don't want to, you're not going to enhance anybody to come in with them type of tax rates. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, this question, we will start with the councilman. How can the fire department be improved, and how can it gain access to better resources and equipment?
The fire department can be improved with more manpower. With that development down on the riverfront, with all the people that are going in there, we're going to need more manpower to make that work. Our equipment's down. We need better equipment, and we just need to expand that fire department to make it better.
Mayor Rankle?
There is no doubt that with our development that we're going to have, we're going to need additional firefighters. We're also going to need additional public works, and we're going to need additional police officers. Councilmember Gifford said at one time that he feels as though the budget needs to be $1 million for the fire department. There's no doubt that someday it's going to be that way. But first we have to be able to generate the funds. We need to get some creative people in here that are willing to sit down and try to figure a way to make those funds. We don't want to raise taxes. Nobody wants to pay more taxes, but we got to be able to find ways to buy equipment. We need to be able to find ways to get the additional help. Right now the fire department wants another ambulance. That's probably going to be over $400,000 to do that for manpower alone. We've got to come up with some ways to offset that cost and get those funds in here. Hopefully the riverfront development is going to do that, but we're going to have to realize that a lot of percentage of those taxes for the riverfront, up to 80%, are going to go back to pay for the infrastructure and the roads. So it's all going to come, but it's going to have to come in time, and we're going to have to be patient about it, but it is needed.
Okay, we'll start this question with the mayor. Eventually, the city's going to need a new administrative building. Would you want to see the new construction or the repurposing of an historic building?
At first, I wanted to see a new construction put on the corner of 6th and Berry. After looking and thinking and talking to a few other people, I myself personally think it makes more sense to take the Ramey building, buy that, invest into it, and make a keystone property on Berry Street. Hopefully, Berry Street is going to become a gateway to the development. What a better way to take a cornerstone building that's probably not going to be able to be used for anything else than to go ahead and retrofit it, make it into a city building, into a civic center. So I guess what the best thing to do is I say renovate.
Thank you. Councilman?
I think that we need to build a new building. We were promised a new building in phase 1. They put it off to phase 2. But in phase 2, the builders or the developers on the riverfront need to build us a new building, and they need to put it at 6th and Berry across from in that empty lot. That's where it's supposed to go, and that's where it should go.
Okay, Councilman Borowski, you'll answer the next question. If I have any left. You guys are just breezing right through these. All right. Councilman, the Manhattan Harbor development is expected to bring in lots of new residents and drivers. What are your plans for the city's eventual need to deal with increased vehicular traffic on its main roads?
Well, the main road, first of all, belongs to the state of Kentucky. I really don't believe that the impact is going to be that great because no matter how big that development is, everybody don't leave at the same time in the mornings or come home at the same time at night. It's congested on that avenue, but I really believe that traffic flow problem is a Bellevue problem and a state problem.
Thank you. Mayor?
I also agree with Councilman Virgil Borowski. I know that doesn't sound very likely, but I do. But I do agree that everybody's not going to be coming and going at the same time. I've been trying to push very hard to have the Berry Street access done. That way you have 3 types or three ways to get in and out of the project. By doing this, I think it's going to alleviate part of the problem. It's also going to build our Main Street. But I believe that in order for us to help rectify the traffic situation, is we're going to have to work with Bellevue to try to get them to do something with us. Now, there's another developer that's coming in onto the dry side of the flood wall, or the south side as I call it. He wants to put in some condos. We've worked very hard with him to make sure that he knows that this traffic needs to go onto Manhattan Boulevard and not through our residential neighborhoods. So we have to work with our developer in order to try to work this situation out.
Okay, Mayor Rankel, you will answer the next question first. Would you support the exploration of the idea to bring light rail, such as a streetcar, to Dayton if plans emerge to include northern Kentucky cities being connected to Cincinnati?
Sure, I would try to support it. It would definitely look into something to study and try and do. But my biggest question would be, if you think we have a traffic problem now, are we going to have more of a traffic jam? If there's a way that they could do it without affecting Fairfield Avenue or 6th Street, that would be great. I wouldn't be in favor of it if it meant destroying historic property or anything like that. But if it was some way that we could work it all out, then it would be possible. I think probably the walking trail may be some type of a situation where the river cities are proposing coming all the way along the river. Maybe they could do something along that.
Okay. Councilman?
I would be willing to look at it, but chances are I don't think that would even work in our community in an old city like this. I just don't see it working.
Okay. Councilman, you'll answer first this question. You may remember this question from earlier in the evening. It's no secret that some council meetings have been tense and combative. Why do you think some meetings are that way? And what will you do next year to improve the civility among the city's elected leaders?
I think they're combative because of matters of opinion and strong-willed people. What I will do is, if I'm mayor, is work with every councilman. I will make it my duty to work with every one of them and sit down with every one of them and try to work as a unit to move this city forward. Thank you.
Okay. Mayor?
There is no doubt that we've had some pretty unique meetings. Probably one good reason for those unique meetings is I'm very pig-headed, one-sided, being told individuals. I'm a self-employed construction worker. I believe that things sometimes have to be done and done quickly, and I found out that that's a mistake. I need to learn to start listening to people and listen to other ideas. The one thing that I would like to do is I know that we are definitely going to have 3 new people on council. If reelected as mayor, I'd like to take those 3 new people that we have, along with the other 3 incumbents that would probably be reelected, and not wait till January to have a meeting and start working these issues out, but starting to work on them as soon as we possibly can. Let's work on them in November. Let's start building a relationship. Let's take all the bad stuff and throw it away, and let's see if we can't start over.
Okay. Mayor Rankel, we'll revisit another question from earlier.
Sorry.
And start with you. Do you support the idea of public art, such as murals, and would you work with local organizations to produce them in the city?
That's an easy one. My wife is an art teacher. If I did not support public art, she would drag me out of here by my ears. Of course, public art is very important. Whether it's murals, whether it's a singing group coming in town, whether it's theater, you have to have those type of entertainments for your community. So yes, I strongly support public art.
Thank you. Councilman?
I would only support public art if it was free to the community. That's the only way. I will not fund or want to fund anything like $27,000 for a mural to me was ridiculous. And I just don't think the taxpayers' money, we've got more important things to deal with, such as the fire and the police and everything else we're talking about, without worrying about murals.
Thank you. Okay, Councilman, we'll start with you on the very next question. NKY Fairness, a local branch of a statewide group that advocates on behalf of gay and lesbian Kentuckians, has stated that it hopes to see the passage of so-called fairness ordinances in more northern Kentucky cities, specifically the river cities, like the one in Covington. Would you support the adoption of a fairness ordinance in Dayton that would extend protections against discrimination in housing and other issues for its gay and lesbian citizens?
Yes, I would.
Thank you. Mayor?
I think Dayton has already become more diversified than it has in a lot of years. I've met several gay couples, if you want to say it, because that's what you want to say. But yeah, we definitely need to welcome everybody in. It's crazy not to do that. It's crazy not to be able to give everybody the same benefits, the same health, the same, just, we're all humans. We need to live together.
Mayor, we'll start with you for this one. How can the city better fight the blight and vacant housing in its neighborhoods?
We have one individual, Don Riley, that works really hard. Next year, Don's going to be retiring, which I think gives us a golden chance to rebuild our blight team. I think the one way that we can straighten our blight commitment is to put it under the hands of the police department. We've talked to Chief O'Brien about this several times. He's all in favor of it. He says that he feels as though the blight inspector would have more power and get more respect by being in uniform. I agree with him. I also agree that we could probably get another person if we do enforce our ordinances. Once we enforce our ordinances and the landowners do not cooperate, do not pay, we foreclose on properties and take them over like Covington's doing. And we levy fines against them. The more fines that we levy against someone, the more money we collect. That should offset the cost of having an additional blight person.
Councilman.
I totally agree with him. Really, I mean, that's what you need. I mean, we need more people doing blight. One person cannot do all the blight in this community. I mean, you walk the streets, you'll see 4 or 5 really nice peg homes, upkeep, and then you walk into one, it looks like, the city somebody dumped in their backyard. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But one guy cannot do it. I mean, he's doing the best he can do, but it can't be one guy. It's got to be the whole police department doing it.
Thank you, Councilman. Okay, so we'll start. This next question will be for the councilman, and it's what would be your plans to attract the small businesses, retail and otherwise, to the Main Street area of the city?
I believe that the Main Street manager prior to Mr. Cato was Michael Giffen. And I felt like Michael tried to do the best he could do, but I really believe that Michael Giffen was the assistant to Dennis Redmond, that he was pulled away from that job all the time. What I would do if I was the mayor would take Mr. Cato and tell him strictly to work on the Main Street and put about a year into that thing to see if it's ever going to fly or not fly. And then if it don't fly, then we make other plans to see what we can do with that Main Street.
Okay, thank you. Mayor.
Thank you. First of all, Anthony Cato has been tremendously involved in the Main Street. That is his only job, is Main Street. He also promotes festivities, but those happen on the Main Street also. Our Main Street, I feel, we suffer a lot with because, one, we don't have wide enough sidewalks that makes it easy to walk on. 2, the buildings are not really big enough to really support a family trying to make money in order to live. Our Main Street, the businesses have to be occupied by owners of the property where they live on the second floor. They invest in some type of a small business, whether it be a service business like CPA, an attorney, or whatever, but it's not going to be the type of situation where we're going to have businesses that bring in a big walking crowd. I think a lot of this stuff is going to come after we have our development on the river, after we get our Berry Street access built, and it brings a lot of traffic down Berry where they turn right and go through the business districts. I said the Berry Street access before. I'm very passionate about that. I don't want the people from our riverfront to come out, turn right, and to build Bellevue. I want the people to come out of Berry Street, turn right, and build our community.
Okay, as we start to approach 9 o'clock, and that's the time we said that we would conclude our event this evening, I think that we can yield to the candidates to begin their closing remarks. I think we started with Councilman Borowski at the opening, so let's start with the mayor here at the end.
I'll be the first one to admit that I've made mistakes. I've made lots of mistakes, but I've learned from every mistake I've made. One of the biggest things that I've learned is that I have to have more patience, and I have to have more input from not only council, but also the members of the other committees that we have formed. We have some really great people that volunteer their time for Dayton. I myself owe them the respect to listen to what they have to say. We've put boards together to hire new city administrators, to hire other police chiefs, and it's always worked out well when I've listened to people. I have to start believing in myself and believing in the people of Dayton that we want a better place and that we need involvement and we need communications among everyone.
Okay, Councilman Borowski.
I believe that the only way that you're going to move this city forward is to totally work with all your council people and have them all on the same page so that we can move forward instead of a stalemate type of council. And I think that's the only way you're going to do it, and it's got to be done soon because the town's going down and down and down. Thank you.
Okay, I guess we can bring the council candidates back up and I can ask some more questions to them. That's all I have. I think that you guys answered some pretty good questions tonight and gave some nice answers. I hope that it helps clarify any questions that those of you who will be voting here on November 4th might have. And again, if there are additional questions you might have for the candidates, I hope that when you see them out in the community that you pose them to them directly. I think you've been a great supportive audience here tonight as well to spend a couple of hours here listening. It's very important. It says a lot about the city of Dayton and where you all want to take this city. I've had a great time. I always have fun here, even if it is a little chaotic at times. It's a lot of fun. I knew at the first meeting I covered when they voted 3-3 on when Halloween was going to be that I was in for a real treat. So thank you for having me here tonight. Thank you for being here tonight, and thank you to our candidates as well.